Up and down, up and down. It's like charging and discharging your gravitational capacitor. And we're seeing changes of about minus 25 grams in pulses. Today, I will show you a small but reproducible anti-gravity effect, which doesn't require any fuel, just electricity and magnetism. And first I want to explain the physics it's based on. Now, Edwin Furr in Canada in 1974 saw this UFO flying off the ground. There are 4 magnets on the bottom spinning around really very fast with another magnet spinning in the middle. And this was drawn in crops like this. We have a magnet spinning slightly off axis in the middle. The dimensions are roughly 60 outside, 20 hole inside, 1, 2, 3 wire coils outside. So the 3-phase rotating magnetic field is what makes it spin, and that's why compasses spin in or near UFOs. Also, with these 4 magnets, at almost the same time they drew in crops these 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets spinning around the central magnet here, and that's the central magnet, and they're spinning around it in the same way that Edwin Furr saw this UFO. Next, I'm going to show you details of the device, how we construct it in terms of wire coils and magnets. The basic geometry is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wire coils in a ring, and there's a triangle of 3 wire coils above or below it. Now, when we looked at another crop picture, we could see those 3 wire coils there as a triangle, and they lie below these 6 wire coils which are spinning around like that. That's those 6 wire coils. There's a pole in the middle, and there's a little flywheel here. Now you can see those 6 wire coils spinning in another crop picture just like the previous one, spinning round and round and round like that. And if they're not spinning, they look like this. We can see wire coils here, AC wire coils, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. We look in the very center, we see this star-like object with 2 rings. That's exactly the same as was drawn in crops in 1998. Have a ring here and a ring here. There's a ring here and a ring here. And there's a magnet in the middle spinning around. So let's compare that again carefully. There's a thin ring here. There's a big central ring here. And that consists of empty space and a magnet. So there's perfect agreement between this 1998 crop picture and this 2014 crop picture. And it's based on 3 wire coils spinning below with 3-phase power, 6 wire coils spinning above. There's a pole. They're the 6 wire coils. And this is when they start spinning around these 2 rings. So that's what I've built, and let's see how it works. Up and down, up and down. It's like charging and discharging your gravitational capacitor. And we're seeing changes of about minus 25 grams in pulses. Now this is the basics of what we've built. Down below we have 3 wire coils, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put a disc magnet, 50 millimeter, 20 millimeter, on top of it so that it will rise up with 3-phase power, UVW, given to those lower 3 coils. Around the outside we put 6 more wire coils, UVW in series, and that will make another magnetic flywheel spin in the opposite direction. Now when we turn on 3-phase power, just those 3 wire coils below, you can see this disc magnet spins and rises right up. I'll push you against the vacuum. Next we're going to take a stainless steel tube, non-magnetic, and put it around that disc magnet like that. It has outer diameter 89 millimeters. Then we're going to put some Teflon supports around that tube so we can put a ball bearing here on which other magnets can spin. Next we've placed a magnetic flywheel around that stainless steel tube. The stainless steel tube has outer diameter 89 millimeters. This ceramic ball bearing has bore 90 millimeters, just a tiny bit larger. It is zirconium oxide, which is non-magnetic. And on it we've placed 4 North Pole magnets, which is just the magnets we saw for the UFO in a previous video. When we add 3-phase power clockwise to these 6 wire coils, those 4 magnets go anti-clockwise, and we can easily pick the speed up to like even 40 or 50 hertz. The magnet inside goes clockwise, the magnet outside go anti-clockwise. Next we're going to turn on a weighing scale below, which you can see is tiered to 0 grams. And we're going to start with this 50 millimeter magnet, 20 millimeter hole. It's only 5 millimeter thick. Quite a small magnet. We'll turn on power to the 6 wire coils outside anti-clockwise. Take it up to about 30 hertz, which isn't that fast. And you're going to start spinning the central magnet clockwise like that. And what you see is the central magnet jumps up and down. I'll explain the physics in a minute. Now notice when it jumps up and down, we get a lot of negative anti-gravity effects on the scale. It goes from like minus 13 grams to minus 5 grams in cycles as it jumps up and down. Go a little faster. It jumps up and down. And then we get effects up to like minus 20 grams or minus 19 grams. The magnet's jumping up and down as it spins clockwise inside of a counterclockwise flywheel. Small but reproducible anti-gravity effect. You see the minus sign? Almost 20 grams, about 20 grams. Look at that. If you turn the magnet off, the scale goes back to 0. And we stop it from spinning. So that was just a simple first demonstration. I'll explain briefly what's happening here. Now we can understand what's happening here by studying these 2 famous crop pictures which appeared in England in 2012 that explain how UFO flies. This one has a ring, with like that flywheel ring with something going up inside, which is a magnet, and it goes up in pulses, steps, pulse, 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 pulse. It doesn't go up continuously. And that ring just has 4 magnets around the outside. The magnet's blue, and you see it's a south pole magnet with 4 north around the outside. The magnet rises up like we saw, and there's some force which pushes it down again. So it goes up and down and up and down. And you can see that this next crop picture, 2 flywheels spin in opposite directions. There's a magnet that goes up and down, up and down. We have it sitting here inside the ring with 4 north pole magnets spinning, and one magnet goes one way, the outer flywheel goes another way, and it spins up and spins down. Now the spin up force I've already shown you, but why does it spin down? The reason is we put a magnet in the center of that flywheel. It sits there quite comfortably, but when we turn on the spin motion by 3-phase power, it goes down. So essentially we're creating a harmonic oscillator which controls gravitational energy, potential energy, like a capacitor. It goes up and down by having both a spin up and a spin down force applied to the spinning magnet. Now does that magnet in the center really have to jump up and down like a harmonic oscillator to get an anti-gravity effect? Well, we're going to have as a control, we're going to test a 70 millimeter magnet, 14 millimeter hole that doesn't jump up and down. The scale starts at 0. We've got the outer flywheel spinning anti-clockwise, 30 hertz. We turn on the inner spin motion, and you see at a certain point it begins to spin clockwise. The outer part's going anti-clockwise. You get almost no change on the scale, maybe just a tiny bit. As you go faster, it's simply rising to the top forcefully, like that. Doesn't create any anti-gravity. That's a useful control, isn't it? Now we know that an up and down motion of the central magnet is required to see an anti-gravity effect of this scale, like it's a gravitational capacitor which is charging and discharging. And this upper flywheel provides gyroscopic stability as it goes up and down. So this is counter-rotating at 30 hertz. Let's turn on the central magnet. And now it's a 60 millimeter magnet, a bit bigger with a 20 millimeter hole, 5 millimeter thick. The magnet's a bit bigger than before. We start it spinning. First it just spins clockwise. Not much happens on the scale. A little faster than that. Minus 30 grams in pulses. A little faster, we're seeing minus 40 grams in pulses. Although these anti-gravity effects we're measuring are not that large, say 30 or at most 40 grams upward, they may really be how UFOs fly. We just haven't exploited the technology enough. Here, this crop picture here showed a little man in a UFO, like a little monkey with his head turned, drawn just above this crop picture, indicating that's how the UFO rises up, like this. And there's the crop picture. We look at it in slightly larger form, we can see that inside ring of the flywheel with a magnet rising up through it and coming back down in a pulse fashion, up and down, and then the UFO rises by those small pulses and rises up in the air. It also requires counterspin. The 6-wire coils here and the magnet outside and inside spin in opposite directions like this, and that makes the disk magnet rise up in the air. And Norman Paulson was a UFO contactee in the 1950s, and he wrote on the UFO, he said, the propulsion was due to 2 magnetic disks rotating in opposite directions, which is just what we see here. To conclude, let's study this ring magnet, 50 millimeters in diameter, 20 millimeter hole, and 10 millimeters thick, which appears in this crop picture there, over here. You can see the magnet goes up and down in oscillating fashion as 2 things spin around it. So there's the magnet, goes up and down in an oscillating fashion as 2 things spin around it. And it starts in this position with south magnet with 4 magnets rotating around it, opposite directions, and then it goes up for both the up and down orientation, so there seems to be a net lift of the entire system upward, although not very big. Finally, we're going to test a 50 millimeter ring magnet with a 20 millimeter hole or 8 millimeter rod, and it's 10 millimeters thick. Now, the outer flywheel is spinning anti-clockwise at 21 hertz. And you notice before we even turn on 3-phase power, this ring magnet is spinning clockwise. Those 6-wire coils which are going clockwise make the inner ring magnet go clockwise, make the outer flywheel counterclockwise. This isn't in textbooks anywhere. It's completely new. They don't know anything about it. We start at 0 hertz on the scale, 0 grams on the scale. Now we're going to turn on the 3-phase power. And you see it's going up and down already. And we get very small anti-gravity changes of just a few grams. Less than 10 grams. Now we'll go a little faster. Jumping up and down. Now you see anti-gravity changes of about 20 grams in pulses. A little faster than that. Up and down, up and down. It's like charging and discharging a gravitational capacitor. And we're seeing changes of about minus 25 grams in pulses. In summary, the anti-gravity effects we've seen here are fairly modest, like 20 to 30 grams. But it seems to be how UFOs fly. We have here again, we have a little man with a UFO, a monkey with his head turned that way. There's the UFO. And they drew this crop picture under it to say how the UFO rises up. So we should study it. And what we see is, we see a ring, which is a flywheel ring with 4 magnets around the outside. The magnet rises up. With 3-phase power, gets pushed back down due to spin repulsion from the ring. So it spins up, and also then it spins down from the ring like a harmonic oscillator, up and down, up and down. And that motion actually leads both the up and down positions of that magnet higher than it was before off the ground. You can see the green dash lines have both risen up a lot. So we're definitely getting upward force is what they're telling us from this motion. It's not that powerful yet, but we'll have to do some more research and see what we can learn. Thank you to the stars.